is Alu Daniel.
My name is Alu J.
And we are from Talented Kids Season 8. And it's all about Talented Kids Season 9. Keep watching Talented Kids. Talented Kids, free to play.
A very good afternoon to you, and thanks so much for joining us on Midday Live. My name is Nanikia Mensah Abrampa, and coming up this afternoon in the bulletin. Textile workers protest over a failure of government's task force to stop smuggling and sale of pirated wax prints. Fire Service worried ruling on its pregnant officers could open floodgates of service regulations to be challenged. And on the foreign front, leaders of North and South Korea agreed to work to rid the peninsula of nuclear weapons after holding an historic summit. And we're streaming live on Facebook. It's TV3 Ghana. Also Twitter, it's TV3 Ghana News. On TV3 is the website, and also on DSTV channel 279. Let's settle for the detail. And hundreds of workers of textile manufacturing companies have hit the streets in Accra over what they describe as failure of government's task force to stop smuggling and sale of pirated wax prints. Well, they say the government has not shown enough commitment towards clamping down on pirated textiles in the country. They have threatened to vote against government in the 2020 election. Over 700 staff of textile companies in the country are mounting pressure on government to dispatch the anti-piracy task force into markets rather than restricting them to the country's borders. And the group who marched through the central business district of Accra say the textile industry faces imminent collapse if government does not heed to their plea. Meanwhile, spokesperson of the group, Michael Anagman, has been speaking to us.
Our argument is very simple. We have gathered here today because governments have refused to listen to our petitions that we have been writing to them all this time. The task force was inaugurated, and their mandate was to go to the market and seize cloth. You and I can attest to the fact that there were a lot of videos of this seizure, and we saw that it was helping our people. But today, they have remandated them that they should go to the borders and seize the smuggled goods from the borders. And we are saying that there are already trained personnel at the borders. Immigration officers are at the borders. Then they have to also tell the cocoa farmers to go to the borders and seize smuggled goods. They have to also tell all the other people who are also manufacturing things that are being also pirated to go to the borders. Because not only textile products are being smuggled. And so we are saying that the immigration officers must do their work. The police and the military men at the borders must do their work. How be it? We know that people can still be smart. If they are able to still become smart and smuggle the goods into the country, then our task force will arrest them at the market. So we are doing double job here. Military is arresting, immigration is arresting, task force is also arresting at the market. And sister, when this goes on, the people will be scared to bring the product into the country. And then the Ghanaian will be forced to buy our product. People think that the ordinary locally manufactured cloth is expensive. It is not expensive. It is because the smuggled goods doesn't pay duty. It doesn't pay taxes. It doesn't pay workers. He is just having cheap labor. And so when they consider all the utilities that we are doing, they'll realize that we are in a fair business. So we are saying that They should let them pass through the right process and import the product into the country. How many families will you go to and they will give you a list as a man to go and marry their daughter, and you will see them saying, bring us 6 high targets? No family does that. It means the Ghanaian is not interested in the high target. They are interested in authentic GTP, authentic ATL, authentic printers. That is what they are interested in.
And away from that, the Human Rights Division of the Accra High Court has ordered the reinstatement of 2 fire service officers who were sacked for getting pregnant. Now, their dismissal was in line with Regulation 33(6) of the Conditions of Service of the Fire Service, which prohibits pregnancy within the first 3 years of employment.
Regulation 33(6) says that a female employee shall not be dismissed on the ground that she is pregnant, provided she has served the first 3 years. Grace Fosu and Thelma Hammond were dismissed from the fire service in 2014 after the service discovered that they had taken seed within the first 3 years after joining the service. Delivering the judgment, the Human Rights Court, presided over by Justice of the Court of Appeal sitting with additional responsibility as a High Court Judge, Justice Anthony Yeboah, held that the decision by the fire service was discriminatory and a breach of the fundamental human right of the 2 applicants. The court was of the view that Regulation 33(6) of the Conditions of Service of the Ghana National Fire Service was discriminatory, unjustifiable, illegitimate, and illegal. The court ordered their reinstatement, payment of arrears of their salaries and benefits that accrued to them during the period of dismissal, and a compensation in the sum of 50,000 Ghana cedis for the trauma and inevitable inconvenience of the wrongful dismissal.
Well, meanwhile, Commissioner of the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Joseph Whittal, says as institutions look at their status and enforce them, they should make sure these status are not discriminatory and not go contrary to the Constitution of the Republic. Here is a playback of an interview he had with my colleague Alfred Okansi on News 360.
What does this judgment mean? Does it extend to all uniformed institutions like the military, the police, that if they have such a regulation and anybody gets pregnant within the period, they cannot be dismissed for that?
Well, it depends on the type of regulations that they may have. But what I do know, because similar cases have come before us and we have had, that's why we decided to test this in court. If they have similar regulations, then it would apply to them. It will mean that they don't need to wait until somebody takes them to court for this, the principle or the ratio of this case to be applied to it. And so after this, the Commission intends writing to most of the uniformed institutions with similar regulations. Some of them, it's not just about pregnancy. We have so many other categories of discrimination inside their regulations. This judgment applies to them. Let's not narrow it down to gender discrimination or discrimination on the grounds of gender. That may be how the case got to court. But if you read the judgment carefully, the judge has expanded the import of the judgment to include all prohibited grounds of discrimination. How to test to be sure that the allegations of discrimination are actually borne out. What is expected of employers as they look at their statutes and as they enforce their statutes, both in the public and the private sector.
Right. But, Mr. Tal, let me just find out, is the charge not minded that that could lead to the opening of the floodgates of, or because now there is a precedence which could be referred to in this case?
I differ. Because, you see, the Constitution under Article 17 gives the right of non-discrimination to all persons. And so if the Constitution itself has opened the floodgates, who is an employer to close it? If they have closed it in the past wrongly, and it has now been properly, through our instrumentality, opened, would you say that we are opening the floodgates? We are simply obeying the constitutional dictates.
Now, the service, I mean, the fire service specifically had good reason to have maintained this all this while. I mean, this is a particular requirement
are you sure of that?
That has been in their books for quite a while now. I want to find out from you if the institution in question is able to argue out their point why this regulation or any related regulation as this is needed for the effective training of their personnel. Would Shraj admit that kind of judgment?
Well, it's not about Shraj. The court has delivered a judgment. They had the opportunity, they were heard. Their explanation or justification for Regulation 33.6 was that if they allow pregnant women to train, to go through the vigorous training, it will affect the fetus and the expectant mother.
Absolutely.
My brother, that was an explanation or justification that did not wash with the court. You cannot treat women and men must be treated as equals. In any case, if you have to have a justification, you should go for something better than that. Because in the same judgment, in the same case, other ladies were recalled and made to do lighter work. How come that these two could not be?
Great.
Right, so we'll still stay a while longer on this subject because the Ghana National Fire Service has been reacting to the ruling against them.
Ghana National Fire Service, as a law-abiding institution, will certainly go with the judgment that has been given by the Honorable Human Rights Court. And whatever it says, when we receive a copy of the judgment, management will sit and then look at the way forward.
So the way forward, has it been decided, or you're yet to decide the way forward, especially as you've also been ordered to pay all accumulated earnings that were due for this dismissed staff, and also to give them some compensation?
Well, the judgment came just this afternoon, and like I said, we are represented by the Attorney General's Department, and we are yet to even receive a copy of the judgment. That needs to be studied, and then management will know what to do next.
I know this would not be the first time somebody had been sacked from the service for being pregnant. Over the years, I'm sure this may have come up several times. Are you able to tell me how the service has dealt with such situations when they occur, when women who are employed are terminated for just getting pregnant?
Well, you know, I will say that when you are entering an institution, there are regulations, and you go what we call terms and conditions. You accept it and you enter the institution. So if you violate it and you will be deemed to have offended the law, if the law courts are saying that that is the wrong position and that they are giving judgment in that favor, then going forward, we will have to look at our law, do whatever is needful, and then we'll move forward as an organization.
So in effect, what you're saying is that what is past, because whatever action.
Right, so that was my colleague Stephen Nt on News at 10 earlier, picking the reaction from the Ghana National Fire Service on the matter. But quite shortly, we're trying to reach Martin Bebu, who is a legal practitioner, to look at the implications of this. Really, if this should be the case regarding the judgment, are we likely to see it reciprocated or repeated in other agencies, security agencies, if this really opens the floodgates for us to see more regarding regulations of these agencies. Now, let's go to the thrust of that particular regulation that started this whole matter at the Ghana National Fire Service. Now, Regulation 33(6) of the Ghana Fire Service Conditions of Service reads that a female employee shall not be dismissed on the ground that she is pregnant, provided she has served the first 3 years. A female employee shall not be dismissed on the ground that she is pregnant, provided she has served the first 3 years. And we've seen reactions picked from Shraj. We've also heard the reaction from the Ghana National Fire Service. Again, we would want to plead or get the legal implications of what this means for the case of the reinstatement of the fire service. Well, we will try to get into contact with Martin People, who is a legal practitioner, to give us more explanation into that. But let's move away from that now. And Parliament has ratified the agreement establishing the African Continental Free Trade Area. The agreement creates single markets for goods as well as services facilitated by the free movement of persons in order to deepen the economic interest of the African continent in accordance with the Pan-African vision.
Agreement was laid and taken through the process the same day. The Joint Committee on Trade, Industry and Tourism and Foreign Affairs noted the social impact on the country is enormous since it enhances the private sector capacity to create meaningful jobs. It also noted the process leading to the final selection of the host country has already begun, and a formal decision on the matter is scheduled to be taken at the next summit of the heads of state and government later in July.
Mr. Speaker, the Joint Committee, mindful of the benefits to be derived from the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, unanimously recommends to the House to approve the Joint Committee's report and ratify the agreement.
And in essence, we feel this is an agreement the country needs to support, without any political divide at all, because it's something that is good for Ghana. And to also just say that as a country, we clearly have learned lessons in the past about the fact that simply establishing some of these free trade areas per se does not bring about the benefit needed. But the need for us to go beyond that into ensuring that as a country we prepare ourselves to take full advantage of it in terms of the competitiveness, and also to ensure that our people are brought on board in terms of the communication that needs to be done.
Members on both sides supported the ratification of the agreement.
Nigeria haven't signed. Nigeria today have what they call the prohibited list of 91 items. And Mr. Speaker, let it be said, today, Dangote cement is flourishing and doing well in Accra, Ghana, and every part of Ghana. Can we say same for gas and cement entering Nigeria? No. It means there is a fundamental structural problem in our trade relations between Ghana and Nigeria. And Minister, you must be seeking answers to it.
Mr. Speaker, there is a huge potential, but obviously, trade agreements must be negotiated on equitable grounds and principles. And we all know what is happening in the Trump America. The trade agreements that were negotiated long ago are being renegotiated. We must not move that way. We must make sure that the article that has been referred to by the chairman of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, which makes it mandatory to put our national interests first.
Can assure our friends on the other side that this is an agreement that will receive our fullest support. And in our communication, in our posture, in all the work that will have to be carried moving from here, you can expect our full and sincere support. This is not a matter which is controversial or which undermines our national interest.
I believe it is important for us to seek knowledge if we do not know. Everybody who has contributed today is happy about what we are doing in this house today. And yet, only yesterday, day before yesterday, colleagues in this house were on various FM stations bastardizing us that what we are coming to do is most unnecessary.
Please don't go there.
The Minister of Trade and Industry, Alan Trematin, was grateful for the bipartisan decision.
Ghana has made a formal offer to be considered as the host of the Secretariat of the CFTA. The processes for screening and selecting the host country has already begun. And indeed, it is a precondition for the selection of the host country that the member state candidate ratifies this agreement. So it's against this background that I respectfully urge this Honorable House to ratify this agreement.
The agreement was ratified and sitting adjourned indefinitely.
Right, so the big question is, after the ratification of the agreement, what next? Sylvester Bagoro is the program officer at the Third World Network, and he joins us via Skype to discuss. Good afternoon to you, Sylvester. We're grateful for your time on Midday Live.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers.
Right, now clearly Parliament has ratified the agreement, but the big question is Ghana ready in terms of goods and services exchange between countries, East as well as Central Africa, let's mention?
Maybe we need to take it from the reaction from Nigeria and South Africa when they met in Kigali to sign the agreement. South Africa did not sign because listening to them, they said they need to do much more consultation at the national level. Nigeria, at the nick of time, also said no, they need to do much more consultation. And these concerns on South Africa and Nigeria are the same across the continent when we met in Addis Ababa on the CFTA. And the trade experts are saying that, look, within the continent, when the heads of state started with the CFTA negotiations, they had a wisdom, and the wisdom was that we have a continent that we are faced with structural problems. What do I mean by that? That we are countries that are producing raw materials, and then we need to add value to our products. And let me give some figures. For instance, if you take the whole of manufactured products in Africa, since in 2014 was about $91.7 billion. You know, far less than 138 of Vietnam. Vietnam is a single country in Southeast Asia that has about $158 billion in terms of manufactured products. And so experts are saying that, look, there's a need for us to be cautious of how we open our economies because we have a problem. And that one is that we need to consult among the stakeholders, the domestic manufacturers, the producers, the farmers, the women groups, the youth, and all that. So that when we come out with a CFTA, it is our CFTA. It is not driven from somewhere else. But this has not been done. So in Ghana, for instance, apart from the Minister of Trade and then some few members of Parliament, we don't know anything about the CFTA, and so it becomes a problem trying to implement it. That is one. The second thing is the content of it. We have a continent that we have a lot of least developed countries. So if you take a country like Ghana, Togo, or Togo between Togo and Nigeria, these are two different countries. So how do we craft a CFTA that is able to deal with our problems because we have different sizes and all that? And then we also have different sectors, and the dominant ones coming from dominant countries. And so we have a lot of challenges with development in Africa. And so people are saying that, look, the best thing for us is to sequence the opening of African economies to some productive benchmarks. And so take a country like Ghana. If we take about 7 of our products, they are mainly raw materials. So if we take them out, let's say we export to Europe and other countries. If we take them out, then we have a few products that we're going to be exporting to Africa. So the main thing is to make sure that we build the productive capacity. But that has not been done. And so we have gone with which is a key pillar in terms of integration. Yes, so that's the one. But the two other pillars, which are one, productive capacity, through the trade infrastructure that we need to put in place. That have not been done. And so we have actually gone ahead of what we need to do.
Okay. All right. Well, we are grateful for your time, Sylvester Bagoro, breaking down every information that we need. They're looking at Nigeria and South Africa, who are the two biggest economies, of course, in Africa, who have not signed on to the deal. So looking at the implications for Ghana, he suggests that it should be sequential, looking at products as well as goods. Well, Sylvester Bagoro is the program officer at the Third World Network. And you're watching Midday Live. We're taking a breather. When we return, there's more. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You? Kat, my wife is standing outside there. She
and enable countries to rely more on domestic resources. Matthias Feldman said the regional equipment leasing markets will increase access to finance. He encouraged Ghanaian businesses to take advantage of leasing to access the financing they need to grow and create jobs. International leasing experts Noah Riyad explained Ghanaian leasing markets needs to merge with the rest of sub-Saharan Africa in order to gain a greater market share and participate in the economies of scale.
Ghana vision and Ghana financial markets need to follow the successful examples. Tunisia is one, Morocco is one, South Africa is one. Here the market is 230 million. So I believe now it's time for the leasing independent companies to partner, to improve their capital, to think big, to partners with microfinance institutions and with banks, really to move from where we are to a more bigger market.
Ghanaian renewable energy company TC's Energy has signed a contract with Sweden-based Seabase to deliver a 100-megawatt wave energy plant near Adan in Accra. The project is intended to boost the country's power supply.
The 100-megawatt wave energy plant is expected to meet the electricity requirements of tens of thousands of homes. According to Seabase, the environmentally friendly wave park will also create an artificial reef for marine life. CEO of TC's Energy, Anthony Opoku, is optimistic harnessing of the country's coastal resources will shore up the country's power supply.
The expected impact is to the stability of our grid. We want to stabilize the grid because the sea can produce 24/7, and with that we can have constant flow of energy uninterrupted. The sea has not been neutralized, and we need to neutralize our sea. We have the solar, we have the sun, and we have problem with intermittence sometimes.
The Swedish wave energy developer will be responsible for the design, manufacturing and installation of the turnkey wave energy park.
We want to study some issue when we have that, our pilot project. That was environmental impact, local assembling, local testing of the equipment, and how to upscale the production in Sweden and in Ghana.
The wave energy project is expected to create jobs.
And that'll do for business this afternoon. There's more on News 360. Away from that, occupational safety and health constitutes an important component of workers' welfare. Here in Ghana, the absence of an all-encompassing national legislation on occupational safety and health is contributing to the prevalence of workplace hazards and accidents. In the lead-up to the World Safety Day, the Ghana Institute of Safety and Environmental Professionals has outlined a number of recommendations to promote occupational safety and health. Now, joining us in the studio is Nana Ano Amihia of the Ghana Institute of Safety Training Academy, Ghana Limited. Good afternoon to you, Nana. We're grateful to have you this afternoon.
Thank you.
Now, let's look at the current state of occupational safety and health in the country. What does it look like?
Well, if you like, let me start off by saying that today is set aside as the International Labour Organization as a day for celebrating safety and the safety and health of workers annually. Now, to start off, where you want me to start off?
We want to know the current state.
The current state.
Yes.
You see, if you don't have the statistics, as it were, you cannot plan for it.
And how difficult is it getting a database or statistics when it comes to occupational safety?
As a country, everything has to flow from an act, isn't it? As we speak, Occupational Safety and Health Act has not been enacted in Parliament. So there are no regulations and legislations that institutions who are responsible will be able to enact adequate regulations and legislation to be able to collect data. So that out of the data that will be collected, then you can find, if you like, find policies to address the issues that flows out of that.
Okay.
But as you speak, I mean, I would have thought the onus is not. We always want to rely on government. the onus is not only on government, but you know the TUC, they represent
the Trade Union
the
Congress.
Trade Unions Congress. They represent majority of the workers. There's nothing stopping the TUC from collating data so that they will know that at this place, I don't want to mention a company in particular.
No, don't.
But in a foundry, X number of workers had injuries, and those injuries have been collated. And then out of that, the government or the ministry responsible for that will be able to structure policies to forestall its occurrence.
Nana, so should there be a legislation backing this? Should there be? What remedy would it be for workplace safety in the country?
No, as I said earlier,
there is none.
There's no. In fact, we as an institute, Ghana Institute and Institute of Safety and Environmental Professionals, we've been advocating for a long while that this OSH bill should be passed in Parliament, and it's been lurking around for the past 20
so
years.
I understand. I'm saying, should it be passed? How would it remedy issues of safety at workplaces?
I wanted to make a point about the TUC. The TUC is a major stakeholder in the life and health and the safety of its workers. So there's nothing stopping the TUC also coming up with the data that government can tap into and say that, look, this year we have X number of people who got injured or who got hurt in the workplace. So that's how we're going to look at the enormity of it, so that we'll bring in policies to be able to safeguard the health and the life of workers at the workplace.
Right, so the advocacy continues. Now, Nana, we are so grateful for your time. Nana, Ami here. I'm sure there'll be another opportunity.
No, but we have made some recommendations that we have
quickly,
here.
In
there
a
are
minute.
Six points that we want to...
Six, can we briefly...
No, briefly, well, to improve the collection and analysis of data and information on occupation, safety and health of workers. And then develop and update policies, laws and regulations that and guidelines to protect the safety and health of workers. I mean, there are other things that we need. A number of them.
I'm sure we'll take this copy and then we'll put it on our website, 3news.com, for Ghanaians to get a full picture of exactly what you're telling
interview
us.
is just 2-3 minutes. There's not to give the opportunity
for
one to come and express.
We'll definitely have a longer time to have a conversation with you. But we would put this on our website, 3news.com, for you to get the full information when it comes to occupational safety and health in the country. Well, Nana Ano Ami here is with the Ghana Institute of Safety and Environmental Professionals. He is the Executive Director, National President of that organization. Well, let's do our MTN video reports for the afternoon. Moses Horto reports from Nkwanta on the spate of an underpass.
This is the underpass that has been constructed for Nkwanta Township, when the Eastern Corridor has been constructed from Pepesu to Nkwanta. The place, nobody is using it. The roofing, some of them have been removed. The bulbs inside the wiring has also been removed. Now that we are in the rainy season, you can see the inside where people are supposed to pass. You can see lorry tires. You can see water all over the place, and the authorities are doing nothing about it. This is Moses reporting from Nkwanta.
Right, so remember you can also send your video reports. The number for the WhatsApp line is 05514330044. You can send it and we'll also show it to the rest of the world. You're watching Midday Live, and let's move on to some more issues for the afternoon. Portions of the Malam Junction Road will be closed for major drainage works on the 500-meter double cell drain from April 30, 2018. Now, this is to reduce the perennial flooding of the area, and this forms part of the Greater Accra Metropolitan Area Sanitation and Water Project. Now, the 6 million World Bank funded project being implemented by the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources is expected to be completed in 50 days. and consequently traffic on the 3 main roads stretching from La Paz to Awoshi and Malam Junction would be diverted also. Right, so joining us in the studio to discuss this particular one is Madam Dinah Siade, who is the PRO of the Highways Authority, and Gabriel Angman, who is the sanitary engineer with Gamma Sanitation and Water Projects. Lady and gentlemen, we're grateful for your time. Well, it's always ladies first, so I'm sure I would begin with Dinah. Dinah, let's know how far this project has come so far, looking at the works from the authority.
Well, we are coming in because of the cutting in of the road. This is a project, a World Bank sponsored project under the Ministry of Sanitation and Gamma Water Project Agency. Where they've reached now is to be able to cut through the N1 and then complete the work. That is from both ends, be able to join the drainage from one end to the other. That's the north to the south. So they've come to us. We've agreed that there's no other option, because if you look at the old existing drainage, it was too small.
Okay.
Silt at their end, it wasn't done in a way that it could contain the silt. So silt has overcome it. So they have come up with a bigger drain to help solve the perennial flooding in that area. So we are working, it's a collaborative work with the road management, that is what we call traffic management system that we've put in place. There's been an extensive stakeholder engagement. The MTTD is involved, GPRT, we've engaged them so that this transition could be smoother.
Okay, so, well, the work we understand would start on Monday, yes, if I'm right. Yeah. So let me just quickly get to the engineer. Now, the rains are nearing May, June, July. I'm sure you know how the situation is. How ready are you when it comes to planning, looking at our perennial rain and the work so far?
Okay. The works have been really planned, actually, because of the rains that we feel that this is the appropriate time. The construction of the drain had started or commenced last year, and we're at the point we have to cut the road. Now, we noticed that whether the rain falls or not, there's going to be flooding in that area. So we want to take advantage and make sure that we address this situation to save life, property, and also the road itself. And this would definitely obstruct, traffic flow in that area. And so we have planned to stage the works. We're going to do the stage 1, where we would cut the road connecting Awoshi and Malam. And then we'll move on to stage 2, where we would cut the midsection of the road from Odoko to Malam. And then the third stage would involve cutting of the road from, let's say, Kaswa, heading towards Odoko. And all these stages, we have put in place how the various diversions would take place. So those moving from Awoshi towards Malam would basically not be able to use the interchange.
So because you're looking at the
alternative
right,
routes, where we have even started putting signs there to start sensitizing the public about the alternative diversion routes as we commence the work. Okay. The work is going to last in total for about 50 days. Stage 1 will take about 12 to 13 days. Stage 2 around 13 days. And then the last stage will take around 15 days. So we're planning 40 days, but in case of any fallouts, we know that by 50 days we should be done with the works. We've constructed a lot of precast culverts which are ready on site for quick installation, and all these measures are put in place so that we can fast track the work at that section.
Okay, and I'm sure in case there's any change with these dates that you've given, definitely we'll be the first to give that information out. We are grateful for your time, lady and gentlemen. Dinah Siade is the PRO of the Highway Authority, and Gabriel Engman is an engineer working on the sanitation and water project with the metropolitan area. Well, Grateful to have you. You're still watching Midday Live. We're taking a break. When we return, Yao Fusulabi brings us the latest in the world of sports. Stay with us.
Productions in partnership with TV3.
peninsula of nuclear weapons after holding an historic summit. The announcement was made by the North's Kim Jong-un and Moon Jae-in of South Korea after talks at the border. Now, the two also agreed to push towards turning the armistice that ended the Korean War in 1953 into a peace treaty this year.
Kim became the first North Korean leader since the 1950-1953 Korean War to set foot in South Korea, stepping over a concrete curb marking the border at the truce village of Panmunjom to shake hands with his counterpart. The dramatic meeting comes weeks before Kim is due to meet U.S. President Donald Trump to discuss denuclearizing the Korean peninsula. Kim said it was the starting point for peace after crossing the military line that divides the peninsula. The two leaders discussed denuclearization and permanent peace on the Korean peninsula during this morning's session. In recent months, the North Korean leader has spoken publicly about denuclearization. Many observers are skeptical that Kim would ever relinquish the nuclear weapons his regime has spent so much time and money on.
And that's it for the foreign front. Let's do some entertainment news now.
Entertainment news is brought to you by
An award-winning reggae dancehall artist, Livingston Eche, popularly known by his stage name as Stonebwoy, is promising an electrifying night at the Vodafone Ghana Music Awards celebrations concert.
From Simon to Kotobabi, with a burn under the sun, but still give Jaja the glory. Well then, sometimes he be doctor, and they carry, meet by rap, and they rush, and they hurry. Hey, that about for what he be like, say, Kaya I go marry.
You know, when I get an opportunity to perform to the masses, I deem it honoring to take time to make them have a feel of, you know, where the music is coming from, which is from within. So that is assured because they will hear me sing live with a band, so they hear where it's coming from. And I rather expect the masses to come in their numbers and come with an open heart to enjoy and cheer and support, because I'm single, but they are many. So logically, it is their energy that can affect me to do more.
You've been very consistent in the game. What accounts to that?
The quest to strive and reach greater heights. So, you know, that has grown me such that I do not relent, because I trust and believe that this is just the beginning and there are many more heights to be attained. So I take it one day at a time, investing time and energy, you know, doing the same thing over and over and over, so that you get perfect at it, and that is the only way it pays.
What should audience really expect from Stonebwoy?
Energetic performance, you know. This is another opportunity to die down the music.
We burn it anyhow, yeah. How I do them, how I do them, how I do them. If you're a love wicked man, give me the feel about wicked man. I tell them.
Right, so the anticipation is high ahead of the 2018 VGMA Celebration Jam. Remember, it's the official post-VGMA party, and it will headline some of Ghana's finest music acts. You saw Stonebwoy there. Well, some music enthusiasts have been sharing the expectations ahead of the jam. Well, we'll be giving you that particular one in subsequent bulletins, but remember, you can stay interactive with us on Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitter. It's TV3 Ghana, and the website is 3news.com. Well, we understand that the program that is the jam is happening right here live on TV3 on Saturday, so make sure that you stay tuned into the network. That would do for Midday Live this afternoon. My name is Nanekia Mensah Brapa. Do have a good afternoon and enjoy your lunch.
Everything you need to know. Captivating. Reliable, credible, and breaking news. All at your fingertips.
Who's found Asamoah Gyan? Super finish!
Being on top of the news has never been easy. Visit us at www.3news.com for all your reliable news. 3 News, news at your fingertips. There are lots of amazing stories out there. What we do on News 360 is to bring to you the most compelling news by teasing out the right pieces that bring the stories to life. My job is to present to you the news in the most gripping manner and asking the critical questions that bring out the needed detail out of the stories. My name is Alfred Okansi. Join me on News 360, Monday through to Friday, 7 p.m. on air and online only on TV3.
Log on to www.3news.com for more news and updates of our major stories. Join us on Facebook 3newsgh for live streaming and comments on our page. Like and follow us on Twitter at 3newsgh and at 3sportsgh. Like our pictures on Instagram, TV3 Network. If you missed our live shows, watch a playback on YouTube, TV3GH. TV3, first in news, best in entertainment.
Thank you.